You're listening to Cosmic Cousins Soul-Centered Astrology. I'm your host, Jeff Hinshaw. Cosmic Cousins is a weekly astrology podcast dedicated to creating a sacred container for deepening your connection to the cosmos. Each episode offers space for ritual, meditation, and contemplation, supporting your journey of embodied health, self-discovery, and deeper learning. Thanks for tuning in.
Gold in my skin carries the weight of my kin.
Hey, Cosmic Cousins. Welcome to another week of the podcast. This is Jeff Hinshaw, and today it's just me offering a reflection on this Taurus New Moon and the larger collective shifts that we're moving through. On this episode, we're going to explore how this lunation marks the first Taurus New Moon without Uranus in Taurus since 2019. So why don't we go ahead and get into it? I think I'd like to invite you to listen to this episode slowly in honor of Taurus, our fixed earth sign. If you can, take this podcast episode outside. Taurus is connected to the earth and nature. You could sit near a tree. You could place your feet on the earth. You could lay down on the earth. You could let your body be in motion in a simple grounding way like walking or stretching. Maybe you rest your hands on something steady or on your body. But let this not just be something you hear, but something you feel through your body and in your environment to connect into this energy of Taurus. So whether or not you're listening to this on the Taurus New Moon or at another time, this information will be meeting you where you're at. Just for our records, though, this Taurus New Moon in 2026 is on May 16th. Right in the middle of May at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, found at 25 degrees of Taurus and 57 minutes. So this episode is a transmission about grounding in a time when so much is shifting form and about learning how to stay rooted while reality itself is reorganizing itself around us. We know there's been a lot of outer planet shifts this year. Both Saturn and Neptune have shifted into Aries, Uranus into Gemini, Pluto's now in Aquarius. So a lot of shifts and changes, and Taurus, our most stable fixed earth sign, is here to ground us into the here and the now. And so notice what it feels like to arrive here without urgency, without needing to understand all of this immediately. Let your senses catch up with your attention so you could bring awareness to that which it is that you see around you, take in the colors around you. Notice that which you feel, maybe the temperature of the air, the pressure of gravity, the subtle support of whatever is holding you up right now. Take in the taste. What have you eaten today? Maybe you feel a taste on your lips, your tongue now, which are both Taurus parts of the body, the mouth, the lips, the tongue. What do you hear around you? What sounds can you take in? As you begin to cultivate awareness to your body and your breath. This is already the teaching. The Taurus New Moon invites us to slow down, to go within, to connect to the five senses, to carve out space to process and metabolize the many changes and shifts taking place in our lives at both a visible and an invisible level. This Taurus New Moon arrives at a meaningful threshold. As I was saying before, it marks the first Taurus New Moon without Uranus in Taurus since 2019. And really, if we go back to 2018, that's when Uranus first shifted into Taurus. And at that Taurus New Moon, Uranus was at the final degrees of Aries, about to enter Taurus. So really, since about 2018, the Taurus New Moon and Taurus season has been deeply influenced by Uranus. And even though Uranus is no longer in Taurus, This new moon is still within 6 degrees of Uranus. Uranus is currently at 1 degree of Gemini. So we're still feeling the Uranian energy. And I think to understand what this means, it helps to orient both astrologically and astronomically. Uranus is an ice giant. It is tilted dramatically on its axis, rotating almost sideways compared to the other planets, which is part of what gives it such its kind of like radical interpretation. Uranus was also the first planet to be discovered using technology. So it's the first planet to be discovered that is not visible by the naked eye. And so astronomically, it behaves like a system that has been knocked off of its vertical orientation, moving through space with this kind of unusual and even disruptive rhythm compared to some of the other planets. And because of this, it is associated with sudden change, electromagnetic shifts, and the breaking of predictable patterns. Uranus was discovered around the same time that electricity was invented. In astrology, Uranus is that principle of awakening, the electrical charge that interrupts consensus reality. And for years, Uranus has been in Taurus, the sign of the body, the earth, material security, money, food systems, and the question of what is real enough for us to be able to trust and to hold. So for years, we have been living through an extended period of reorganization in the most foundational layers of life. The ground itself has not been completely stable. We've seen this through revolution in regards to finances with things like Venmo and crypto and PayPal and Zelle. We've also seen it in a way that it's brought a lot of our work online. I mean, Uranus is connected to the internet, and Taurus is about how we make money. And so now that we have experienced this is what Uranus has unlocked for us. It has revolutionized Taurus for us, and Taurus energy will never be the same again. And now Uranus has officially moved fully into Gemini, our mutable air sign. The element of disruption now shifts location from earth to air, from matter to mind, from finances to language. So this Taurus new moon, it does carry a different atmosphere. Since Uranus is no longer in the sign, there is space for us to exhale fully, space for us to integrate all of the lessons that we've learned. And just as a little foreshadowing, even though we don't have any outer planets in Taurus anymore, actually this year in 2026, Chiron, the wounded healer, is going to enter Taurus pretty soon. So I'll give you the exact date that Chiron shifts into Taurus. Let's look. It's coming up in just a little over a month. The exact date. So those of you who have Chiron in Aries, you're completing your Chiron return, although Chiron will go back into Aries. So June 19th, just 2 days before the Cancer solstice, Chiron enters Taurus, where it will spend Cancer season, Leo season, and then by the time we get to Virgo season, Chiron will shift back into Aries by the end of Virgo season. So we will have Chiron in Taurus for about 3 months. On the northern hemisphere, this will be summer. On the southern hemisphere, this will be winter. So we're going to start healing everything that Uranus revolutionized in the sign of Taurus for ourselves. So there'll be a lot of healing around stability and finance. So that's a little foreshadowing. But again, this Taurus new moon offers us this moment with no outer planets in this sign, space to begin to understand not just what has changed externally, but what has been permanently reorganized within our sense of safety and value and embodiment and material reality. So just for a moment, bring your awareness to the earth below you. Can you feel its intelligence? Bring awareness to your finances. Can you feel its intelligence? Bring your awareness to your body and feel its intelligence. Feel gravity not just as physics, but as relationship. a living field that continuously offers support without requiring performance in return. Notice what within you is asking to be stabilized and nourished. Notice what within you is asking to be simplified and reimagined in your relationship to your body, to your finances, your values, and to the material world that you are actively shaping through your attention, through your intention, and through your choices. These are things to be dropping into on this Taurus new moon. Yet, we know this new moon is still intimately braided with Uranus. This lunation forms a close 6-degree connection to Uranus, newly in Gemini, at 1 degree. And there's something about these final degrees of Taurus, from 25 degrees of Taurus, which is where the new moon is, to 1 degree of Gemini, which is where Uranus is. There's a lot of cosmic wisdom taking place. The Pleiades have been in Taurus for the last 2,000 years, and they've been slowly making their transition. The 7 stars, the 7 sisters of the Pleiades, have been shifting from Taurus to Gemini. The first sister to shift into Gemini was in the year 2000, and the last sister to shift into Gemini, I believe, is in 2044. So this 45-year time period, the Pleiades, which are connected to cosmic wisdom, are shifting from Taurus to Gemini, while Uranus is shifting into Gemini. Sedna has been in Taurus for the last 60 years and is shifting into Gemini, has just shifted into Gemini. So there's this whole period of this new moon, 25 degrees of Taurus, to Uranus, 1 degree of Gemini, has a lot of cosmic insight to it. But this lunation, again, being the Taurus new moon at the end of Taurus, reminds us that while Taurus may no longer be the primary site of change and reinvention, we're still integrating. The revolution has not ended. I mean, this is the thing. Uranus will always be in a sign, so it really just shows us the progress and the evolutionary unfolding of revolution. And in this case, Uranus is revolution. So it's changing elements. The ground may feel steadier beneath us with Uranus shifting out of Taurus, but again, it's a Taurus new moon 6 degrees from Uranus, so not quite yet. We will be healing that as Chiron shifts into Taurus. So the ground may start to feel steadier, but the atmosphere is charged, especially because Gemini feels more connected to wind and weather. It's like the weather that has not yet decided its full shape. And so as the fixed earth sign Taurus invites us into the body as oracle, as an instrument of truth, into slowness, into sensation and presence that doesn't require interpretation to be valid, this energy of Uranus shifting into Gemini is still kind of stirring things up. It's activating the nervous system. So we're being invited into what is tangible and nourishing and real enough to be felt without translation, but there's a lot being translated at the time with Uranus shifting into Gemini. So the importance of grounding into the body amidst change, amidst chaos, amidst revolution is so important to us. So let's do a little simple practice now to just kind of drop into the importance of grounding while we're in the midst of so much collective change. So you could place one hand on your heart, one hand on your lower belly. Feel your breath moving without force, without correction, but see if you can deepen your breath. Let your awareness rise gently into Taurus's body parts. This is the throat, the mouth, the tongue, the neck. And then allow your awareness to rise gently into the center of your brain, the third eye, often referred to as the bullseye or the third eye center. This is not as an escape from the body, but as a window into a deeper way of inhabiting it here in the third eye center. In Taurus, intuition is not abstract, it's somatic. It is earthy. When we connect to the 5 senses, which we just did earlier, we activate and awaken the sixth sense of intuition. It is what the body knows before language arrives. So imagine this center as the aperture, not of thoughts, but of perception itself. Breathing into the third eye, the bullseye, this is the place where sensing becomes clearer than analysis. Or connecting to your intuition, where you're not trying to understand reality, but to get an embodied experience of it. This is the intelligence of Taurus. It's not belief. It's not abstraction. It's embodied knowing. Feel your connection to the earth. Feel the ground beneath you as something alive, something responsive and intelligent. Breathe into your feet. Let your nervous system remember it's not separate from the earth. Your nervous system is in ongoing conversation with the earth. And as Uranus shifts into Gemini, the collective nervous system is really awakening. I was kind of joking with a friend the other day about how, like in the 1900s, we had the Great Depression, and how here in the 2020s, I'm thinking of it as the Great Manic Depression, because there is this sense of depression that we can feel collectively, but many of us have access to the internet or to iPhones or smartphones and to cars. There's more access to shopping at all times, all of these things that make it feel manic. It was kind of a joke, and there's a level of truth to it, I think. And so grounding into the body is important. This new moon invites a return to simplicity. This Taurus new moon invites a return to slowness, to touch, to rest, to nourishment, to nature, to the quiet recalibration of what actually supports life. And yet simultaneously, you'll feel this electrical charge forming in the field. Over the coming days, following this Taurus new moon, the sun will move into Gemini and form a conjunction with Uranus, forming a cazimi. Its first Uranus cazimi in Gemini, Uranus temporarily within the heart of the sun. Symbolically, this is an ignition time period, a time of planting new seeds around Uranus and Gemini. So I'll give you the exact date of this conjunction. Could be interesting for us to just consider. And so again, this will be the Sun and Uranus at 1 degree of Gemini. And so this is going to take place on Friday, May 22nd, 2026. Early in the morning on Pacific Standard Time. So it's a new solar Uranian cycle around communication, media, learning, transportation, technology, and the rapid exchange of information and ideas. So we're grounding into Earth while consciousness itself is becoming increasingly electric and fast-moving and relational. So while Taurus encourages rooting and grounding, we may also feel something gathering at the edge of perception that feels destabilizing when it comes to our minds, to our thoughts, to our understanding of duality. There's kind of like this inner weather system that's reorganizing itself. This is why the body matters now more than ever, not as an escape, but as an anchor. Nervous systems are adjusting to a new frequency of reality at this time. And I think the ways that I'm noticing around me is that maybe people who have spent years innovating their material and financial lives during Uranus and Taurus are entering periods of maybe simplification or reorganization. I've seen like a lot of downsizing or selling furniture or making life lighter with Uranus and Gemini, maybe more mobile. People maybe being a little bit more responsive. And with that, I'm thinking about friends who bought an Airstream and have been traveling around the country with their 2 kids who are young and doing homeschooling and early education. 2 kids, Gemini, right? Mobile, moving around the country. And they're also a partnership, a couple that are parents. Gemini, the twins, being in love with your best friend, having 2 kids, being mobile, homeschooling, and wanting to innovate the ways that you share information and online so that you can create a life for yourself. So a bit of that, it's Uranus and Taurus, is like online money making, shifting into connecting more in a place of feeling like you're more mobile. And with that might bring you into interaction with people that you don't normally. So Uranus and Gemini is going to have us interacting with people from different walks of life, different worldviews. And this can be confronting and this can be illuminating. I've seen others who have built highly structured or conventional careers with Uranus and Taurus through innovation and very practical, grounded ways, and are now feeling maybe called a bit more towards uncertainty and experimentation and creative risk, and maybe even artistry. And there's many who have spent these past years of Uranus and Taurus developing deeper personal revelations around embodiment. I think of Uranus and Taurus as also people making money with astrology. Taurus is money, Uranus is astrology. A deeper sense of understanding of sensuality and pleasure. But now, all of this is finding itself in conversation with a radically different worldview. Again, Uranus and Gemini is bringing us into dialogue with people who see the world differently, where meaning is not shared, but we're negotiating it in real time. The United States has Uranus and Gemini in its birth chart in the 7th house of relating. And so this is speaking to maybe a divide within collective consciousness, Gemini and duality, but the invitation to build a bridge between that. So the innovation is no longer only happening through the material world. It is now happening through language, through perception, through siblings, through relationship, through early education, and also the nervous system itself. Gemini is deeply connected to the nervous system. So Uranus and Taurus radically transformed how we earn money, how we survive, how we relate to the earth, digital economies, remote work, cryptocurrencies, online spiritual businesses forming. An entirely new form of value creation emerged, and actually a cosmic understanding of how consciousness lives within the body. At the same time, there's a lot of ecological instability with Uranus and Taurus, reminding us that even what we called fixed is never actually truly fixed. It's only temporarily coherent. And so now we enter this new phase. Taurus is no longer holding that full voltage of that Uranian lightning, so there may be a sense of spaciousness or relief or settling in the Taurus parts of our chart. But of course, the disruption is not over. It's only evolving into the next sign. So Gemini accelerates exchange. Gemini accelerates perception and even meaning making. Gemini accelerates our thoughts, our ideas, our writing. Conversations may becoming a site of awakening and initiation. Conversations with ourselves, journaling, becomes electric. Conversations with other people. So language is becoming more charged now than ever. I mean, we definitely see this with things like artificial intelligence, but I'd be curious how we're sensing it beyond that. Ideas are a bit more unstable. They're a bit more alive, a bit more catalytic. What is truth? Reality is shifting through what we say, through our dialogue, so what you say matters. Recently, I learned that in some Marseille traditions, the tarot of the Marseille or Marseille, the Tower card has been called the Lightning in some more rare editions of this deck. I learned this through Gemini, Teresa, the tarot lady, on Instagram. In one of her Instagram lives, she was using the new tarot deck by Alejandro Rosen. It's called Pixie's Marseille Tarot. This is like a reinterpretation of the Marseille Tarot through Pamela Coleman Smith, aka Pixie's artistic style. And they chose, or maybe I think they have the Tower card, but they added in an additional card called Lightning. And the image shows a shepherd with sheep, like a herd of sheep, and then a tree is being struck by lightning. So it's not like the Tower card with like the destruction of stability and the destruction of structures that we built, but as a rupture of perception itself. It feels like this lightning card, which I'm bringing into this moment of, Uranus shifting from Taurus into Gemini, is like an interruption of collective patterning that can shift one out of herd mentality and into direct embodied knowing. So it's not about separating from others. It is about no longer outsourcing perception, which feels like so much of what we're going to learn with Uranus and Gemini. And now that Taurus will be free of this Uranian influence, it's about no longer outsourcing our perception, but coming deep into our own inner knowing. It's about the moment when awareness becomes self-located again. When you see through your own nervous system rather than through the inherited consensus. Otherwise, we might get swept up into the collective nervous system. And so on this Taurus New Moon, return to your body, return to the earth, sit beneath the tree. Feel your body as it is without needing to improve it. Just simply pay attention. Let simplicity steady your nervous system. And for some of us, this may mean we actually need to remove ourselves from places that overactivate our nervous systems, but not to the point of isolationism. So notice where life is asking you to step out of inherited patterns of perception and into your own grounded awareness. Notice what intentions begin to form when you're no longer perceiving through urgency, but through presence. When you're no longer perceiving through trauma bonding with someone else, but to just come back to your own steady becoming. So let those intentions that emerge start out as small. Let them be real in your body. Let them be livable in the body. And now, as a continuation of this field that we've just entered together, I want to offer you something that deepens this same descent into the earth and body and myth and into psychic transformation. Because I had mentioned this earlier, but both Sedna and the Pleiades have also been held within Taurus for an extended period of time. So another layer that feels especially significant within this larger transition is that Uranus is not moving into Gemini alone. Both the Pleiades and Sedna are now also likewise beginning their movement into Gemini. And so a little bit more information about them. Again, the Pleiades are long associated with cosmic memory, with mysticism and storytelling, spiritual orientation across cultures, have noted the Seven Sisters. Sedna is a distant TNO, which is a trans-Neptunian body. And Sedna is associated with exile and survival and grief and embodiment. Also deep psychic transformation is now shifting into Gemini. And so as the sun enters Gemini this coming week, May 20th onward of 2026, Uranus will be hanging out with Sedna and the Pleiades, and the sun will be there too. And so this is the first time it marks this kind of gradual completion of a much larger Taurian era within the collective field. And for years, something deeply embodied has been awakening through the earth element itself, through the body, through food and land and ecology, but also how that is connected to trauma with Sedna. And within astrology communities, we've also witnessed an enormous reorientation towards embodiment since Uranus was in Taurus, somatics, ancestral healing, ritual practice. And so it is as though these long Taurus transits have been teaching collective consciousness how to descend back into the body. And whatever wisdom you've taken from this is now awakening into Gemini. And so Uranus, Sedna, and the Pleiades shifting into Gemini. The awakening is changing forms. It's a very fascinating time for us to be alive on this planet. The focus is moving from embodiment into exchange, from grounding into communication. But we still have Taurus. The importance of grounding into the body is imperative, because otherwise we'll start mirroring people in Gemini. So the question becomes not only what we know through the body, but how we speak what has been discovered to others. How are our insights traveling? How do our perceptions spread from person to person? We might find ourselves reliving outdated patterns in the ways that we communicate, but come back to the body. Notice how language itself is coming off of Taurus. It becomes a living organism capable of reorganizing our reality. So if you'd like to go deeper into these themes, I do have a Sedna workshop download that is being released on this Taurus New Moon, The Ocean Beyond Betrayal. This is a deep immersion into Sedna as archetype, myth, and living intelligence. We all have Sedna somewhere in our birth chart. Most of you listening likely have Sedna in Taurus. If not Taurus, then in Aries, because that's where she's been over the last 100 years. Again, Sedna is both a distant trans-Neptunian body and astronomy, and also a sea goddess whose story carries profound teachings about betrayal, survival, exile, and psychic transformation. So if you'd like to learn more about Sedna, you'll receive a 90-minute audio transmission, a rich PDF with tarot spreads, reflection prompts, and chart examples, along with somatic practices, ritual guidance, and altar creation. Also a curated mixtape designed to embody Sedna's emotional landscape. So I've been working on this for the past month. You can actually purchase it at any time on my website. You'll receive it on this coming weekend. If you do purchase it, it's time with Sedna's recent movement into Gemini alongside Uranus and the Pleiades. And so again, this workshop is going to be delivered on the Taurus New Moon. And so if this transmission is something you're interested in, you can check the links in the show notes. And I also invite you to share this podcast episode. You could leave a rating or a review. Let me know how this new moon is moving through your life in the comments. I'd like to read one of the more recent comments from the podcast. I always forget to do that, but I did notice there were some new comments, which is great. This is from 5 days ago. This is from Full Moon Muse. The subject is embodied astrology. Full Moon Muse writes, if you truly want to learn what astrology feels like in your body and the seasons and through unique synchronicities in your life, Jeff is an amazing guide and mentor for such. Jeff weaves astrology and tarot and ritual together in a beautiful presentation for each episode. I've been listening to him since 2019, and I always feel so grounded and in tune after listening. He also creates beautiful culture for his listeners and shares unique insights only he can provide. Aww. Thank you, Full Moon Muse, for writing in. And for those wanting deeper support, I'm currently open for one-on-one mentorship. I have cosmic mixtapes also available where I curate a playlist for you based off your birth chart and record about a 90-minute private podcast episode just for you. It's available as a guided sonic offering for embodiment, and I love making those. I also have one-on-one readings open as well. So thank you for being here. My goal is to release a podcast episode every Monday with updates on the weekly weather and then also episodes on the new and the full moon. But I missed this past Monday, so I just wanted to apologize for that. Sometimes work things come up and I don't always make it, but I will be releasing episodes every week. If they don't come out on Monday, I apologize for that, but that is the goal. I might miss a few Mondays here or there depending on what's going on in my life. But either way, I'm sending you all off with a lot of love. Take sweet care, and remember, deep breaths.